Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and we're doing something a little different today. This is Choushoujuu Mecha MG, translated here as Super Control Mecha MG. This is a fan translation that came out very recently. We're talking something along the lines of a couple of days ago when I record this, but by the time you see it, it'll be about a week. And it is a DS game from Sandlot, the people who made Earth Defense Force and a couple of other games. And the one that this reminds me the most of is Robot Alchemic Drive. If you've never heard of that, it's basically a PlayStation 2 game where you control a gigantic, like, 20-story tall robot from the point of view of the human on the ground running around with a remote control. In that way, this game feels a lot like a spiritual successor to that, because you're doing basically the same thing, but with a different spin on the idea. Now, I'm just going to point out right now that I am actually playing this on PC. This is being emulated, which is why you can see my mouse cursor. And I've actually found that this is a pretty good way to play the game. It's not the best. It's definitely not a way that, I would usually recommend, but it actually works pretty well if you remap your controls. So if I just go to my configuration up here and go to my input config, you can see that I've remapped the controls here so that basically everything I need is accessible on the left side of the keyboard. And you can control a lot of this game's menus via the touchscreen. The only one that you can really only control with the buttons is the retry and give up menu when you're in a mission. And that's pretty easy. You just map another button and just hit that whenever you need to. So I just remember that I need to get my keyboard that doesn't clack like with the force of 1,000 suns. Just give me a moment. Alright, hopefully this will do the trick. So let's just hit the button and continue. So I've actually got a pretty decent amount of time in it, as you can see. Probably more than this. I should point out that I'm playing this on Melon DS, and this is not what the developers recommend, and there's kind of a reason for that. It's mainly because the game is actually kind of crashy on this, but I figured out the exact way it does crash. If you go into a store and buy something or not buy something, as long as you look at the 3D models, then leave, the game has like a 33% chance of crashing. Something like that. So as long as you save your game and like reboot the emulator once you do, it's fine. It'll work okay. It just, yeah. That's kind of a thing. The reason why I didn't pick like DESMUME is because the developers said there's actually some inaccuracies on that do things like render text improperly, but, well, there you go. So, here we are on the world map. The world map is actually pretty big. You've got some options going on here. So, all of the square ones are cutscenes and all of the circles are missions. And there are plenty of missions to be done. Like, as you can see, there's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 15, 17 already. At the very least, there are more missions than this. And there are other things you can do as well. Like, we can go to the Marionation Gear Association. The robots in this game are the Marionation Gears. And they... but it's basically like the idea of, you know how back in the day they used to have those puppets they control with strings? Those are called marionettes, and so they call the robots in this Marionation Gears because they're controlled kind of in the same way. It's kind of neat. So the Marionation Gear Association, you have to go back there from time to time in order to unlock extra story missions, but it's also worth noting that they just give you like background on the world and how there's different workshops that build different kinds of robots, and you need to go to specific places in order to get specific kinds. So just for the purpose of demonstration, let's putt-putt our way along the world map to the heavy workshop so I can show you what I mean. You can also hold the tab button in Melon DS by default to fast forward the game. So we talk to this guy, we can buy some puppets. A bulldozer puppet has no combat abilities, but its hauling power is second to none. So yeah, there are multiple things you can do in this game, including picking up objects and actually fighting people. And these are the ones that are useful for that. Also, yes, it does have a firearm. It has no armor or melee weapons, but its punches are strong, and it can also turn into a dump truck. Because that is actually a thing in this game. So let's see if I can leave without the game crashing. Yeah, there we go. It usually works fine the first couple of times. So, just for the purpose of demonstration, we're actually going to go play a mission that's relatively simple, just to show you how this all works. So, railroads and rocks, that seems like a good place to start. So, just before we do that though, we want to go and switch our puppet. I've got multiple different puppets right now, and this is the one that I'm using, the Puppet Warrior Goss. However, it turns out that if you use a certain puppet too much, it will need to be repaired and you won't be able to use it for a couple of extra missions. So for the purpose of demonstration, I want to pick something that will be slightly less useful to us later on. So we're going to pick the Puppet Knight Jabel. And we're going to go back to the map. And we're going to pick railroads and rocks. Now, every mission has 4 individual difficulties, and I will point out, this isn't one of those games where it only makes like the enemy stronger in like hit points, or makes the mission slightly more difficult by reducing the timer. They'll do things like add extra objectives for you to do, like extra things like extra rocks to move out of the way, extra enemies to defeat, and they'll make the enemy AI smarter and more dangerous. So it's actually a really well-balanced system, and it reminds me of what I like about Earth Defense Force, where they actually make the AI smarter in order to make it harder to take on. So I've got some cutscenes going on here, and these are fully translated, and they are pretty decent quality. I've got nothing wrong with the writing. It's a little bit generic, a little bit without flavor. It's definitely not along the lines of an Xseed localization, just as an example. But I am going to say that it is perfectly readable, and there doesn't seem to be much in the way of translation errors. It would be the sort of thing that I would be... If I bought this, like, back in the day on my actual DS for, like, 20 bucks or what have you, I would be fully satisfied with the overall quality of the translation on this one. So, yeah, as you can see, we are controlling the mech using the touchscreen. So, there are a few things that you need to get used to, but I'll tell you about the basic controls first. Either the D-pad or ABXY is going to be your major way of moving around. You have the ability to press the L and the R button to get a side-on view. This happens sometimes with... What the... Oh, I'm still holding the rock. Okay. You need to do a very specific, like, sharp movement in order to actually get to drop the thing. There we go. You just run into objects to pick them up. But as you can see, the major thing that you do in this game to control your robot, other than the movement controls, is fiddling around with the touchscreen. And it is great. And there are 100 unique robots in this that all have their own unique control schemes. I'm not even kidding. That's actually a thing. And it is awesome. So as soon as I take this out of the... Whoops. As soon as I take that out, yeah, mission complete. You might also be able to tell that the internal render resolution of the DS is way higher, so just for the purpose of demonstration, let's turn that down just to show you what it's like normally. A bit blurry, but I actually like being able to turn up the internal render resolution. This game actually looks pretty damn good, if I'm being perfectly honest, when you've got the render resolution that high. So I finished the mission, I got some money. Sometimes they'll also give you things like blueprints, and these blueprints can be used to construct new ones. You can also use the money you earn to buy new machines. So let's do something a little more fun, shall we? The little puppets soar in. Actually, just for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to swap puppets. I'm going to swap to the longbow puppet, because the longbow puppet is actually interesting in this case. And we're going to go and play this mission on hard. You can play every mission on every difficulty to earn extra rewards. So there's a reason for you to keep coming back, especially when you need to go and play, especially when you need to go and get more money. It's very useful to go back and play the original, play the missions you've already been through for extra money and resources. There's the control device. We need to go and take that out. Alright, so here we go, and as you can see, the interface for this robot is entirely different. You have to click and drag in order to load up the bow and fire off shots. And you can adjust your angle using that. There is a couple of other things I got going on. You can double tap to do quick movement jumps. This only applies to some robots, of course, but you can do that if you so desire. I'm going to get my shit kicked in because I brought a bad robot along for this mission. Sometimes you also get things like special moves, like for example, you can load up an explosive shot, fire it off, miss, and die, because that's just what happens. Many robots often have multiple attacks to work with, and that was just an example of one. For the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to go and actually swap out and show you another one, because that's just the kind of thing that we need to do here. We don't want to use the snail puppet for this one. I think we'll use the puppet warrior Goss this time. I did 2 missions without him, so he should be fine for this one. And just to make sure I don't look like an idiot, let's play on normal. We can also hit the start button to skip cutscenes we've already seen. And yes, this guy's a transformer as well, but he doesn't have to like swap gears like the other Puppet Knight, like the other one in the same class. He works in an entirely different way. You can beat the shit out of things a fair amount easier. So if you're paying attention to how my mouse cursor is actually moving in the background there, it's actually somewhat difficult to control this. You would think you'd get some more precision on this and you'd be right. But since the game doesn't have any sort of way to like lock your mouse cursor to the touchscreen window, at least in this case. I don't know if DESMUME has added that in the past, but in this case at least, it's slightly harder to control than you might think, because your mouse cursor has the ability to go off screen, and you're not locked into specific actions, a la any sort of like particular PC game. Also, this is what his special attack looks like. He's also got a third attack going on, but I've never been able to get it to trigger properly because you have to rotate this very quickly, and as you can see, it actually rotates your, it actually increases your temperature going on there, and you need to be careful not to run out because you basically become incredibly vulnerable. You do also have a guard by holding the D-pad backwards. Whoops. Jump out of the way. I've also got a building so I can turn around and hold it in front of them to make them attack it instead, because yes, you can pick up entire buildings in this game. That is a thing you can do, and hold them in front of the enemy. There are tons of different missions as well. They give you races, they give you enemy destruction, they give you like little odd jobs to do, like destroying all the buildings in a city block. They give you all of these little things to do that actually have a benefit to picking different things. Like for this one, picking a combat-capable robot is obviously the best, but if you want to get like all of those rocks out of the way as fast as humanly possible, you want to pick one that's good with heavy movement and heavy lifting. If you want to do a race, you need to pick one that's incredibly fast. And in fact, just for the purpose of demonstration, he does need repairs. That's alright. Just for the purpose of demonstration, though, we're actually going to go play another mission. It's around here somewhere. I just need to go looking for it. I think it's in... Yeah, here we go. Anne-Marie's Game Phase 2. We just need to swap out our puppet first. We want to use the snail puppet, because the snail puppet is actually pretty quick. So, now, just for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to play this mission on normal, and then I'm going to play this mission on hard, just to give you an idea of what the difficulty is. So yeah, as you can see, we're both riding snails. We'll just skip the cutscene here. And we need to be the first to the end, but we also need to be the fastest. So as you can see, using the snail here, by constantly dragging upwards on this wheel, it actually increases our speed, but it also has a little bit of problem with the temperatures. Can I fire off missiles to just... I can. I'm taking the lead in a literal snail race. A little bizarre, but okay, weird flex. Yeah, the game really is, like, gorgeous. It does look really good. They've done a really good job with making the game stand out in an artistic merit, and it means that when you scale up the, graphics like this, it looks really good. Like, it looks nice. And all of the little control panel shenanigans you've got going on over on the ride there look great as well. So yeah, there, I earned some money in a blueprint. So now if I play the same mission again, but I play it on hard, watch the speed of the snail. See, look at that. Just gets off to a fantastic start immediately. So you need to be, like, really quick in order to stand a chance in this one. Also, yeah, I'm not allowed to cut through the soccer thing. That's one of the things they bring up in the cutscene. And there are over 100. Yes, 100, not even joking, unique puppets, mechs, in this game. But yeah, as you can see, the snail is just way faster on hard, so you do actually have to put in an effort in order to really take the thing on. Now, with that said, let's just save the game real quick so I can drop by some of the other workshops and see if there's any, like, interesting ones that I can buy just for the purpose of demonstration. Because there are a fair few. Oh god, yeah, I know what's here. Let's just see if I can actually get into the shop and out without the game crashing. It's a beetle! It's a beetle! Let's buy this puppet and leave and hope the game doesn't crash. Alright, we're gonna go try that again. It should work fine this time. Although, it's kind of strange how it doesn't usually happen the first time, but it seems to be more likely the longer you're in a session, but oh well. Come on, work this time, please. Thank you! Alright, now we're gonna go and play another mission. The Longbow Knight. I know it's here somewhere. Crisis in Aston, this is the one I'm thinking of. We'll just let the thing get over here and then, change to our new puppet. It's here somewhere. There it is. Puppet Beetle Beagle. So we'll go play this and we'll go play it on normal just for the purpose of demonstration. Automen are heading towards Aston. Yep. I don't even know how to use this thing. I haven't, what exactly is this meant to be? Oh, so look at this. I actually have an advantage on this mission because I'm so low to the ground, this thing's missiles can't hit me. So I can just beat the ever-loving bejesus out of it without it even being able to touch me. I love little things like this. Just these little details. What happens if I, swap? I get missile cannons. Boom! Yep, he's dead. Yeah, that's a double cannon. It absolutely hurts him, and I can still use this to my advantage. So yeah, it's dead, but I have appeared to have overheated myself, and in the middle of a fight with a bunch of things that could fire missiles at me, that's not the best idea. Get out of here. So what do these buttons do? I'm not entirely sure. They do include instructions as to what every single one can do. Oh yeah, I forgot, the Longbow Knight is actually here helping us out on this one, so that's actually a friendly. So let's take the opportunity to beat the crap out of these. Swap back to this, dual cannon it, and it just, boom, vanished, gone, dead. Hang on, wait. I gotta get, damn. I took some damage, but that's alright, there we go. Oh, moving this form actually causes you to, right. So that's why I was, taking damage. Taking heat. Moving that form causes me to take heat damage. So yeah, while the mechs themselves aren't particularly deep, the fact that there's 100 of them and they are all different suited to different tasks and overall things going on, it makes the game really interesting. finding the best mech for the job, and learning how to efficiently control it, even on, like, this system here, where I'm basically trying to do the best I can with what I've got. It makes the game a really clever little idea, and one of the few games that plays... Oh, I blew myself up with my own cannons. Fantastic. Oh well. That was just for demonstration purposes anyway. But yeah, the fact that you've got so many different unique little robots and the different ways to control all of them and all the different missions to put them to use to is a really nice little combination of ideas they've got going on. And there's more to it. So if I go to my Switch Puppet menu, I can not only look at the information on it, including its ability info. Bottom left lever moves the horn, circular spinner, turn to move faster, okay. Left switch changes to battle mode. So it doesn't tell me anything about the buttons. I might have missed what they did then. Yeah, a masterpiece that won a special reward last year. But we can actually equip it with parts. Parts are disposable bits that actually improve its stats. So we can give it a super weapon, damage boost, just some regular slashing or striking damage, range damage, lower temperature gain, higher rewards, and stuff like that, you know? I'm going to equip this and go play a relatively easy mission just for the purpose of demonstration of it, because this robot's actually kind of interesting. We'll just save the game again. You can also go to the parts shop to buy extra parts. So yeah, brass armor, extra stamina, throwing damage, super weapon damage, less frequency, less maintenance required. And if we go to the travel menu and go to the Galuye workshop, that's probably not how you pronounce that. We can see a couple of other things, including if we go to the warehouse, we can see what blueprints we have. And if we've got blueprint 05A and 05B, we can now build the puppet ship Titus. We also have the ability to build some other ones down here, but since we've only got half the blueprints, we aren't able to produce them. But let's produce this one just to see what it's like. $17,000 G is a lot of money. So yeah, if we go back to the album, oh, this is just the characters, and as you can see, there's a lot here. I've got 3 hours in the game, and I've barely seen most of it. There's some options there. They're not really that relevant, considering that you can set them all up otherwise. If we go back to Switch Puppet, though, now we can see the one we just made. It's a ship with a cannon on it. It's also apparently 4 stars, which is interesting, because there are ones that are outright better than others. But yeah, we've got the bomb puppet, so let's go and take the bomb puppet into a thing just to show you some of the things they'll try and pull on you sometimes. We'll do it on easy just so I can fill out the completion. So yeah, this is the first time you run into one of these things. So you can swing the arms around like this, but you also have to drag the bomb down here in order to throw it out. Which, to be fair, does a decent amount of damage. But what happens if you drop it? No, that wasn't his missile. That was me dropping the bomb. Like, quite literally. Unfortunately, I am also out of bombs, but this doesn't matter much because I can just get in and just do a swing and he's dead. But yeah, they'll often give you like really old and trudgy robots that if you spin their gears too hard, they will break and you'll have to restart the mission. Because that's just the thing that they do in this game because they're dicks. It's awesome, and I appreciate that they go to the effort of making it, like, the entire point of that is that they actually start you out on really old robots just as, like, tests, right? Just to give you an idea of, like, the older robots and to give the universe a little bit of backstory. But still, it's great. It's legitimately one of the, it's legitimately a really cool thing, just to give you this really old and crappy robot, just to make you try it out, just to give you an idea of what people used to have to work with. It's great. It's really well done. It's well produced. And now we get to fight another robot, but we're in a ship. We also have a cannon. And if we, oh, that's interesting. Okay, there we go. So, melee attacks are these buttons. And I'm gonna... Oh! Thankfully, the longbowman actually hurt itself there too, right. So how do I fire this cannon? I need to... What do I need to do? Not that. Whatever that may be. That's the angle. I think this might be, yeah, this is just the way I'm looking. Hang on, I've picked up a building. What the hell do I do to fire off the cannon on this thing? Can I pause and... No, I can't get information while I'm paused. Like... Oh well, let's just go over and beat the shit out of it. And then we'll go look up how we need to fire the cannon. Because yes, reading the manual in this is apparently required sometimes. But yay, extra money. Nothing wrong with a little bit extra money. Alright, switch puppet. Puppet ship SS Titus. Information. Puppet info. It's armed with a large... By rubbing and igniting the fuse. Rub continuously to ignite. When the fuse reaches the cannon, the Daedalus cannon will fire. Right, so I just had to keep rubbing at it. Well, that makes sense, I suppose. Let's go do this on easy just so I can practice a little bit. Doing rubbing on this is kind of difficult. There we go. So now we just hang back. Oh wait, do I have to do it more? I do. There we go. Now cannon, fire! Fire! There we go. Well, I blew up a building, but I missed him, unfortunately. So let's just do that again. I've got to try and be careful, because this cannon will hurt me. So let's just put this a little higher, but straight on. Boom. Boom. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, and he got me right back. Well, you know what they say. When you mess with the giant marionette gear with claws and a giant cannon, you get the giant cannon. Also, I love how just the world falls apart around you and nobody cares. Like, they even say in one of the cutscenes, make sure not to damage the buildings around the area. They might be a little bit upset about that, but they don't care. Because this is from the people who made Earth Defense Force. They have no reason to care. So, yeah. That was a look at Choushoujuu Mega MG, or as they... Oh yeah, there's one last thing I actually want to bring up. So, just for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to reopen the ROM. So, Super Control Mecha MG. Do you want to know exactly why they made the choice to call it that? Allow me to show you. Alongside the translation patch, which I used, and it worked absolutely fine, if we open with Notepad, the README, you might notice that it's a bit long for a README. Well, there's a reason for that. Author's comments. If we scroll past section 1 and 2, the absolute majority of... Oh, well, no, 4. Translation notes. That's what I was referring to. Over half of the README is dedicated to why he chose to translate things the way he did. I appreciate this to no end. In an age where translations can be modified by some publishers or developers for reasons outside of the original intent, having a literal smorgasbord of information on exactly why they chose to do things the way that they did is really nice. Also, yes, you just saw that if you were paying attention. Nuclear Puppet. Yes, they literally have nuclear, robots that wield nuclear missiles in this game. Metal Gear. Yes, I had to. But yeah, the game is really interesting. It's got a lot of variety, a fair amount of content. Like, you saw how little I had completed in percentage alongside like a 3-hour playtime. And the translation is really good, and if you configure your controls just right, it's really easy to play on PC. With all of that in mind, I can't not recommend it. It's basically going to be almost impossible to get your hands on this game physically on the DS anyway, so yeah, highly recommended. Really enjoying it, and it just goes to show all the creative little concepts they had on the DS. So yeah, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.